Welcome to the Football Historian Podcast.
By all means, enjoy it.
He will go right to the very top.
Dos, tres, cuatro times.
Here we go, Germans.
I will turn these results round.
All right, that's good manners.
There's animosity, but there's no fight.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Okay, make me feel sick if I look at you.
No, I want to fight here.
Don't drink, don't sleep with women, don't drive fast cars.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit too!
Hello, welcome to the Football Historian Podcast. My name is Peter Kenny-Jones, aka the Football Historian, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jim Daly, comedian, football fan, football enthusiast.
Mm-hmm. And slipper fan.
Slipper fan, yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to put a bit of that conversation now, but yeah. I'm going to try to convert you into slipper enthusiast. I'm not just saying it's the only reason you're here, but I want to mention it earlier, we'll mention it again. You've got a tour coming up. Let's get that out the way first, and then we'll talk about it again more later. So what's going on with you soon?
So I'm doing my first tour, my first UK tour, and I've been doing stand-up for 12 years. So Jim Daly likes to build up slowly to things. It's called Match of the Daily. Always wanted to have like a pun-based title, so I'm very pleased about that. And yeah, we're doing 6 dates. So London, Brighton, Chesham, which is my hometown, Birmingham, Liverpool and Manchester, kicking off in 23rd of April, going to, I think, Liverpool's last one on June the 13th. And if anyone follows me online, or even if you don't, my vibe is kind of football silliness. Like it's taking the mickey out of every club, including my own, which is Crystal Palace, which we'll come on to, which are ripe for mickey taking. And the show is basically a bit of that. I do a few songs. I've got a few songs that I'm known for online, so I do those. I got these football heckle comebacks, but it's a fun, family friendly hour and a bit of football comedy. And to be honest, I've been sort of pitching it as like, if your team has had a bad season this season, or, which is basically everyone but one's team essentially, or maybe 4, depending on the 4 leagues being promoted. If you need a bit of respite from football, or a bit of like, you haven't had a great season, but you need a laugh, this is the tour for you. Like it's. And also what I like about it is, because I got so much that's about loads of different teams in the tour, in the show, it doesn't matter who you support in the audience, we can all relate to each other. You can all relate to all bits of the show. And that's kind of the beauty of football anyway. So yeah, football silliness, Match of the Daily, links below. I don't know what people say.
There'll be shown on screen. We'll do something with that, yeah. I saw, you've said you want people heckling with club-specific lines.
Yeah.
Something we're going to do later in more detail. But where did that idea come from? Because we've had a few comedians on here, and I think most comedians seem to welcome a heckle, but rather than if you're in full flow of something, you don't really want to be interrupted. So is it something you open up to, or are you happy at any point for someone to say, what do you think of Millwall, or something like that?
Oh, Millwall, I've got a lot of responses for that. No, I've never really been a comedian that gets heckled very much. And the older I've got and the more experience I've got, the more I've embraced rowdy audiences and heckles and stuff. And when I started out, I was a very nervous comedian. And so I just wanted to do my material and get off. It's almost like a poetry night more than comedy. And the older you get, and I've got 2 kids as well, when you have kids, you stop really caring about anything. And so actually just being up on stage for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes an hour, just a nice break from home life. So I don't mind people heckling. I'm absolutely fine with it. And I love sort of talking to audiences. But the football heckle comebacks, I can't remember where the idea came from, but I think at one point I liked the idea of doing something that everyone can get involved in. It's the same with my 92 song, which I'm sure we'll come on to. The idea that anyone in the audience can get involved in this. It doesn't matter who you support, you can shout your team out, and I'll have a response ready for it. It's also taps into that very kind of like English football, black humour mindset, where we all secretly like people taking the piss out of our club, I think, because it shows that you know about that club, which is actually the research I've had to do for some of these heckles has actually been very interesting. I learned a lot about some of these clubs. So it's tapping into that really, but you're right, it does contain then any shouting out in the show, rather than it being, when you're in flow.
You say,
so I just go, right, I literally have a list on my hand, and I go, right, give me a team name, people shout stuff out, and I do the heckles. And then it then moves on from people saying their own team to them saying their rivals or teams they dislike and stuff. They want to hear what I want to say about that. So I first did it last year, the first time I sort of did a work in progress for the show, and it went so well. And I was like, oh, I've really got something here. So then immediately clip them up and put them online. Because as you know, you put something online, you've got to try and own it as soon as possible. So I was like, right, I'm going to make this my thing.
Yeah.
Whack it online as soon as possible. And thankfully, it's done really well and people seem to really relate to it. And in fact, on the way up here today, I was writing some new ones for the show. I'm trying to get, for the tour show, 10 for every Premier League club, 5 for every Championship club, and at least 2. Some of them it's 1 for the lower league clubs. Because in theory, with these hour-long shows and stuff, you will get people who shout out Liverpool, Man United, Everton more than once.
Yeah.
So I want to have multiple ones ready.
What's more fun for you then? Like, I feel like Arsenal are the pantomime villains at the moment, or is it Harrogate Town? What's more fun for you to put someone?
Arsenal, I have the most so far.
Yeah.
I think I've got double figures already for Arsenal.
Yeah, that's without writing them down.
Yeah, exactly. That's just off the top of my head. The lower league ones, I think some of them are really quite strong because you have to go super specific about that club. I've got the Harrogate one that actually is quite good as well, but they're all fun, to be honest.
Yeah.
And when you get in the flow, as with anything when you're writing, when you get in the flow of doing them, I flew to Bosnia last week to watch Crystal Palace in our latest European disappointment, and I was writing them on the plane. And it's the same with any writing. You start for a bit and you think, oh man, I can't get anything for this. Arsenal Spurs. And then it hits, and then suddenly they were just pouring out of me. And it's such a good feeling. And it's even better then. And this is the beauty of kind of like, the difference of writing with stand-up. You then get on stage and say them, and they're a room full of people laughing. It's a lovely process that idea you had in 2A or Ryanair flight to Mostar then can relate to a room full of 100 people. It's brilliant.
And then, obviously, with your comedy, you're quite in the football lane now, and you call it Match of the Daily is certainly parking yourself in the football there.
Big time.
Was it always a decision that you wanted to do that, or is it something that you've tried out, or, how did you become so firmly football comedy?
Before I even did stand-up, I actually did parody songs on YouTube, and they were football songs. Because I love terrace chants. I just love the humour. Even this week. So last week in Mostar, Palace drew 1-1. And after the game, Oliver Glasner, our manager, who is begging to be sacked, said in a press conference, well, the Palace fans have got to stay humble. And the Palace fans are like, we literally lost to Macclesfield 6 weeks ago. How can you... We've won 1 in 15. And so in that classic football fan way, at the Wolves game that weekend, which I didn't go to, they were singing 1-0 to the humble boys and humble till I die. And I love that. I think that is the best thing about certainly British football, probably world football, to be honest, as well. I'm sure people in other countries do the same thing. So I, as a kid, loved writing parody songs. And so I did a parody song to like 3 lines. And this is like in year 8, 3 lines and stuff like that. And then when I got to my mid-20s, I started putting them on YouTube. Colleague told me to do that. So everything I've been doing around comedy is always football. And then about a year or so after that, I thought, what if I do these on stage? But I was really worried about pigeonholing myself as a football comedian then. So actually, for certainly the first couple of years, maybe longer, I didn't do any football material on stage. I just did songs about my life. And first ever show I died so hard. And I did a song about an imaginary girlfriend touching me where she shouldn't. I don't know. Anyway, it was everyone when they start comedy is bad, and your ideas are always bad, and you think you're being edgy and you're not. You're just being like really, really, really lame. Anyway, so I did that for ages, and it's only then when the songs online, which I kept doing, started getting popularity, that I then started doing more live shows. I used to have this do stuff with a mate of mine called Dave Bibby. We had Jim and Dave lost the dressing room. We did a lot of football shows. Did an Edinburgh show. And then I was like, well, actually, because I'm becoming known online as a football guy, it makes more sense to do football stuff on stage. And people are coming to the show. They already know what to expect because they see me online. And I hope that I'm the sort of person that online, I'm the same personality in the room. So people aren't like, oh my God, he was really nice online. Now he's really mean. Although weirdly, some of the heckles are a bit mean, but hopefully it's all in the spirit of sort of familiarity. So yeah, for a long time, I didn't do football stuff. And I still don't. If I go and do club sets, I do have football material, but I do have a lot that's not, because I think if you get on stage and you start doing football stuff, I'm worried it might alienate people from a normal, in a normal club setting. Yeah. And then sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you turn up and the club's really rowdy, and you think, actually, football stuff would do great here. I got a few songs in my back pocket as well from back in the day. I got one song about Jaeger bombs, which I haven't done for probably about 8 years. But again, if I turned up to a rowdy club, I'd be like, yeah, the Jaeger bomb song will work here. So it's good to have like different bits in your back pocket. Yeah. But my actual kind of like tour stuff and my actual solo stuff is mostly football themed, because that's what people know me for. When I did my first Edinburgh show 4 years ago, and that was about my daughter being born, but I still linked it back to football. It was actually about Tony Cascarino's autobiography. That's about Tony Cascarino.
I watched it yesterday as well.
Yeah, and he It must have been a week or a month before my daughter was born, and then my wife said to me, "Why don't you do?" I wanted to do Edinburgh. She was like, "Why don't you do a show about this book? You keep talking about it." She's not into football. She's like, "I don't know who Tony Cascarino is." With a joke in the show, she says it sounds more like a Sopranos character, which it does. And so I did, and then obviously the more I learned about Cascarino and what he's just mental, isn't he? Like, he's just the world's worst dad when you read about it. This book's fascinating. It really opens up about being a very sort of selfish footballer and husband and stuff. I did try to get him in the show, and I got his number from a series director I worked with at Yahoo, and I rang him up, and he was like, "Jim, who's Jim?" I said, I worked with you at Yahoo. Jim? No, I don't know Jim. I was like, "The comedian from Yahoo." He was like, "Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Jim." And I said, I'm doing this show, would you do a video for me at the end? And the whole culmination of the show is about your book, my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And you'd be on the thing at the end. He's like, yeah, no problem, Jim. Ring me tomorrow and we'll do it. Okay, rang him back and he's like, I'm on a golf course, Jim. I'll, no, ring me tomorrow. Rang him the next day, no answer. Rang him the next day, voicemail. I was like, shit. Then texted him and he was like, yeah, no problem. Text him the next day, no answer. So over the course of about a week, I basically got ghosted by Tony Cascarino. and I had the show was like 2 weeks later. And I was like, crap, because I had to rewrite the whole ending of the show, make it by my mate Dave. And so yeah, I hate Tony Cascarino, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm called The Football Story, but I'm a Liverpool fan. You don't just do Crystal Palace stuff. Was that also a deliberate thing? Because I did some writing for the Liverpool programme, and it was the person who did that was like saying one piece of advice would be don't make yourself like pigeonhole yourself into Liverpool. I'm not saying I'm anyone of any note, but like that's a deliberate effort I've made to try and put a Taribo West shirt, not a Steven Gerrard shirt and stuff like that. So was there ever
the most random of shirts you could have picked?
Brings everyone together, yeah. You look like someone who appreciates a Nigerian Taribo West shirt. Yeah.
Oh, I do, definitely. A 90, I would say that's World Cup 94.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, yes, probably. So were you ever thinking I'm going to be the Crystal Palace comedy football man, or was it always football?
Same as you. Like, I think like cast the net wider. In theory, the problem with doing online stuff, as you'll know, is if you do cast the net wider, you get more views. In theory, like I think if you're niche, if I only did Palace stuff, I'll probably get more what's the word I'm looking for? Engaged and passionate views. To be honest, I still do anyway. But my theory has always been do every club. I love Palace, but I do get a bit bored talking about Palace. I do a Palace podcast, and like sometimes Palace are quite boring, and nothing's happened. The world of football is much more interesting than just Crystal Palace, and it's also easier as a comedian, I think, to take the mick out of. It's really easy to take the mick out of my own club, but it's fun to take the mick out of other clubs as well, and also as long as you do everyone.
Yeah,
I do a lot of Arsenal, Man United content because they're just so rich. But like, if you do a bit of everyone, then they can't say, "Oh, you're always hammering Spurs, you're always hammering Liverpool, whatever." So my theory is I try and do a bit of everyone. But yeah, I have been a Crystal Palace reporter for a bit. I have been a Palace writer and done all that kind of stuff, and it's great because you're writing about what you know. It's really easy to do. But I don't just want to be a Palace guy.
We were talking a bit before. I think people do lose their love for it a bit if it becomes your life as well. So for your life to be laughing at football rather than laughing at Palace.
Definitely.
It's like those, I always say like those fan TV programs, like not AFTV specifically, but like when they were at their most popular, when Arsenal were at their most funny, shall we say. So that's like, you must, like that United strand is here.
Yeah.
Back of his mind, I was, you must be gutted when they didn't win that 5th game. There's no way he was gutted. In my opinion, he's never going to be.
Do you think he knows what he's doing next? Do you think he's got? I was trying to work out. He could either do. I reckon he's either got beard, fingernails and toenails, nose hair, ear hair. What after that? What's that?
Yeah,
he's got 4 series maybe potentially to do.
Yeah,
and then how do you pivot from being the hair guy?
Well, exactly.
To what?
But he probably won't, will he? He's not like the film where it said that the Hawk Tour girl. She had the podcast on and she had that, but then it just fall off a cliff.
And then she released Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And everyone lost loads of money. So what was like, there's going to be hair coin. And then everyone's going to lose thousands of pounds and hate him. Absolutely hate. He's done brilliant. I mean, that is the archetypal online career. You find an idea that's really simple. Yep. It taps into a culture that people really get. Man United the shit. Let's tap into that. And then you run with it. And he's been very lucky that they've been shit for a long time. And I'm sure he'll do something after it. I don't know. But yeah, it's for those of us that plug away at the online and find it difficult sometimes, you see someone like that, you think, fuck's sake, why didn't I think of doing that?
Videos online, what was the first one that did dead well and you were like, oh my God, this is good? Do you remember?
The first one I ever did, I did a parody song about Wayne Rooney getting a hair transplant. So this is dating myself. Do you remember when that? Do you remember when that happened? It was a big story.
Which one though?
The first one. Yeah, you had multiples. So I want to say it's 2011, and I did it to the tune of "It's All Coming Back to Me Now" by Celine Dion, and I loved writing it and making it. I just loved and I was living in London at the time. I was single, living with my best mate Andy, belting at terrible singing in our basement, but I loved every second of it. And that did okay. I did really well at the time. Got like 10,000 views. Which obviously now I think people maybe I probably would turn my nose up at it, which is bad because any view is great.
Yeah.
Actually, especially now because it's so saturated. But I was like, oh my God! Like, and at that point there wasn't really many people doing that, so it got picked up on a few online articles, and I was like, oh my God, I'm famous! Like, so straight away I was like, what am I going to do next? And then I did VS Boas had just gone to Chelsea, and I did Living with VS Boas to the tune of Living the Vida Loca by Ricky Martin. And again, it did really well. So I was like, oh shit. So I just started doing that. But the song that probably really then picked up was, I think, the first 92 Club song, which would have been 3 or 4 years later, I think. And that really, really exploded. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, there's momentum here. And this could be a thing. And then I was like, well, obviously, then I have to do this 92 Club song every year. I've now done 11 or so. It's like but it's great because it's become the thing that everyone recognizes me for. And I get such lovely messages from people, either online or in person when I'm at games, saying how much they love the song and stuff. And it's really, really, really nice. But again, the theory behind that song was, if I write a song that's got everybody's football club in, then everybody's going to want to watch it.
Yeah, because you're waiting for your team. Yeah.
You're waiting for your team. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And that's probably when I was at my most prolific on YouTube. That would have been like 2015, 16 to 2019. I was very prolific, but I didn't quite work out how to turn that into money, which is the ultimate kind of crux of doing online stuff. So I was doing like 4 to 5 million views a month or something, and maybe making £700 a month. And like as someone who by that point was getting married and was planning on having children, it still wasn't. It's different if you're like maybe 25, living at home with your parents and stuff. It's very different. So I had to really balance that. And then we had our first child in 2019. It turns out children take up a lot of your time, and so the song sort of dropped off a cliff. So how dare they ruin my career? So I've had to sort of pivot since then, and obviously did the more sort of short form stuff and the sketches, and then went back to stand up, which is good as well. So it's all been, as with anyone's career, it's all sort of, it ebbs and flows and comes and goes and stuff. But yeah, those first few songs, I remember really feeling like I'd sort of hit on something, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
When you're doing something like that, and it's just, I got so excited to sit down and write a song. Like, who am I going to do this week? And I'll do a song about Gervinho. Do you remember the Arsenal player who had like a massive forehead? Like, I'm going to do that. And you just get, and I had all the time in the world then. I was single. I was working for goal.com, writing about football. And
the good old days, do we call them?
The good old days. I loved it. And it was just, but there was no plan then. There was no like, oh, I'm going to make this a career. I was a football writer, and I was just like, I'm just going to do this for fun.
Yeah.
But as ever with online stuff, you then start to get to a point where you think, could it become something? I don't know. Yeah. But it was great fun.
Yeah. And then he said ebbs and flows, comes and goes. Is that a good way to describe Crystal Palace? Or
no, Crystal Palace is more like we then stratospherically go up and then somehow drop off a cliff back down to earth. Palace has ebbed and flowed for a long time, and then this last year has just been crazy.
So also we were recording at the end of Feb, you'll be coming out at the start of March. Will Glasner still be here in a few weeks' time, do you reckon? I
don't know if he'll be here tomorrow. Like, it is such a weird time to be a Palace fan. He is desperate to get sat. It's like, I'm guessing it's like the end of a relationship, you know what I mean? And he's like, he just doesn't want to be in this relationship anymore, and he's desperately trying to get broken up with. I don't know, it's all gone so sour so quickly. But having said that, and I would say this to any sort of younger Crystal Palace fans, because there are quite a lot who only know Palace in the Premier League, and fair play, that's not you can't pick when you're born, like that's just what it is. And lucky you for watching Palace for the last 10 years being in the Premier League. But before that, for the 30 years or so I've watched them, they've been so up and down to one extreme to the other. I mean, we nearly went out of business twice. I've had to genuinely had to think, who am I going to support? if Palace go out of business? Like, what? I can't support another league team, or could I? Do I support Crawley because I was living in Kent? Do I support my local non-league team? Is there going to be an AFC Palace Phoenix team? Will I support them? Like, genuine thought. And that's a lifetime away from where we are now. Like, that won't happen probably ever again, given what we've built for the last few years. So yeah, ebbs and flows is a good way of describing it. But
what you said this season is, as you say, Glasner being quite clear he's not that happy with how it's going. Gay's gone, Eze's gone. Would you take all this for the FA Cup last year, though?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. I'd give any of my limbs. I'd give one of my children, and I'm not saying which one. I mean, I just think when you're a fan of a team like Palace and you just don't, obviously winning isn't something that you're used to, and it's not a routine or familiarity or even getting close, really. You'll take anything for that one day. And that one day in May and follow up, which I won't mention too much, but the Community Shield follow up, those 2 days were just magical. And they'll live long in the memory. And I got to be at both of them with my dad, who's the reason I'm a Palace fan, who's in his late 70s now. My brother flew over for the cup final. My brother-in-law came to the cup final. To share those moments with them, I mean, outside of my wedding and my 2 kids being born, which I have to say, which is true, they're the best days of my life. Because there's something they're literal dreams as a fan of a team like Palace. My dad went to the cup final in 1990. I was 5. We were living in Spain at the time, so I don't know, it's a poor excuse, but I didn't make it. And so I never even thought I'd see. I spent the first 10 years supporting Palace. My first game was in 92. Desperate to be 10 years older. Hearing all the stories about Villa Park, and the 4-3, and then Man United and the replay. Desperate to be part of it. So then 2016, to get to actually go to the cup final and watch us play Man United again was amazing. And then, of course, we lost. So I then got to feel all those feelings that everyone in 1990 felt and realise actually it wasn't. You didn't want to be 10 years older at all. It was fine. But then to go again last year and actually win, it's just something as a Palace fan, it feels like an unachievable dream. The sort of thing like, you see Wigan win it, and you see Leicester win it, and you think, teams outside the big teams can win it, but it will never be us. And then it suddenly was. And actually, in that sort of back end of that season, I think a lot of us started to get a feeling we might do something because we were so good. So good against Fulham in the quarters. We were unbelievable against Villa in the semi. I've never seen us be so good at Wembley. And there was just an inkling that there's something special about this team, this manager, these players. Something was happening. The tifos before the game, everything was like, if you had to write how a team like Palace would win the FA Cup, every chapter was going as you thought it might. And then to actually do it was just magical. And I didn't actually cry. My only regret is I didn't cry. There's loads of brilliant videos of Palace fans all bawling at the final whistle. But I was in such shock. I've also been on medication for so long that I think it's impossible to cry. But anyway, I was in such shock. I remember just like looking out at the scenes and being like, I think how someone would react to like a car crash or like a big trauma. I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. And my dad's crying, my brother's crying. And I was too shocked to even cry. And then what got me was I went home that night and I got up early the next morning to do the kids' breakfast. And as I was making their crumpets, on my phone, someone sent me the BBC montage from the footage into the coverage. And it had someone singing the Elvis song that we've been playing during that. It just hit me. Bang, right there. I just started bawling over these crumpets. My daughter's like, "What's wrong, Dad?" I'm like, "Palace won the cup." So yeah, just incredible memories that were just... I would take Palace getting relegated, honest. I mean, I'd love us to do well in the Conference League, but I'd take anything now. I don't care.
Well, that's strangely, I've had quite a few Wigan fans on here.
Yeah.
And they all, obviously, Wigan got relegated this season, they won it. Yeah. And I haven't spoke to one Wigan fan who cares that happens.
Right.
Don't worry. Yeah, I think they happily went down with an FA Cup to hold while they did it. So it's all a bit boring, all the winning stuff, because that's not why you support Palace. So what is the most Palace thing that's ever happened?
Do you think there are people that have just become a Palace fan now and are actual glory hunting Palace fans? I would have thought that ever been possible. My origin story is one that's been told many times. It's because of my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's been a Palace fan since 1956. So I think he saw Palace in the 3rd Division South. That's how long ago it was, and that's obviously not a thing anymore. I guess that'd be League Two, wouldn't it? I think now. And we lived abroad for the first 6 years of my life. So we lived in Dubai, Malaysia, and Spain. And so football wasn't really, certainly British football wasn't really a part of my life. I was well into dinosaurs. But I knew Dad was a Palace fan. When we came back, he took me to a couple of Palace games. But again, it was very much like I wasn't obsessed. But then I really got into the World Cup 94, so this World Cup. And I got obsessed with Roberto Baggio. I completely fell in love with him. The ponytail, like the looks, the way he would sort of glide across, a bit like Eze, glide, not that anyone's compared them before, glide across the pitch. I obviously took Italy to the final single-handedly that summer. So I fell in love with Italian football, and for a couple of years I was a big Juve fan because of him. Then became an Inter fan because of Yuri Djorkaeff, who scored this unbelievable scissor kick against Roma in about 97. So I fell in love with him. So I've gone away from the origins. So anyway, I did then come back to Palace because Dad started taking me to more games, and I realised actually you start to fall in love with the connection. I had no connection to Italian football. It was exotic. Gazzetta Football Italia, James Richardson, ice creams in the square, all that kind of stuff. We all fell in love with it. But once I started going back towards Palace, I realised there was a real deep connection. But I do remember probably before that, maybe it was after that, Dad did sort of say to me, like, you basically got no choice, you're going to be a Crystal Palace fan. I don't think there was no other British team for me at all. I don't remember ever, because I got mates who are Palace fans, and I won't out them, who, when they were younger, would have like a Liverpool hat or like a Man United hat or something, whatever. And again, like, that's just being a kid. And that's probably an uncle or a family friend at some point thinking, oh, he likes football. Yeah. Here's a Ryan Giggs shirt, whatever. It's not until you get a bit older and you get a bit more autonomy over what you like and what you want that you start to really connect with the team. And then, of course, you become 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and it's everything. It's complete. And, of course, at that point, Palace was shit. We were so bad. So then I'm falling in love with this team that are terrible. And that actually makes you fall in love with them even more, because you can almost see yourself in they're not much better than I was at Sunday League. So you can sort of like, and then Palace go into administration, and so there's just so many. In 99, I'd have been 15. So that's just so many. In fact, one of my favourite seasons is probably 99, 2000, when we had no money, no players. We had Clinton Morrison and 10 youngsters, and we were brilliant. And I just went to so many games, and I just fell in love with it. And then you're captured for life, and that's it. And then the fact that that season I sat with my dad in the family stand. We have our first season ticket, and his friend Leonard, who's an old Spanish guy, and they've been friends since the 60s or 70s, and they used to go together in the 70s, and then we moved to Spain, and then Dad came back and they started going again. So it's really nice. They've sort of had a full circle. They now sit in the main stand, and that's the reason I sit in the main stand, just to sit behind them, which is great. Leonard's 84 now, and he's still, think of the things he's seen, and he's still going. But then I remember that first season, I think it would have been 99, 2000, the Homesdale, this is before the HF, before the Homesdale Fanatics, Block B. So they're in the middle now, Block B to the side was where like the Noisy Boys were. And I remember watching them, and I've been 15, and I'm thinking, oh my God, they're swearing at football. I want to go to that. And there was one moment, the moment that made me say, Dad, can I move my season ticket? And obviously at that point, that's like 5,000 people going to Palace. It doesn't matter. Like, it's easy to move your ticket. We were playing Pompey at home. And Portsmouth fans sing that, play up Pompey, Pompey, play up. And they did that, play up Pompey. And then it sort of died off. And all the Block B went, Pompey, fuck off. And I just thought, 50-year-old boy thought, oh my God, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. That is so sophisticated. So I have to be there. So I switched my season ticket, and then the back end of that season was us basically almost getting out of business and battling to stay up. And we beat Blackburn 2-1, and some great moments. And then that was me locked in for the next, 1999, next 27 years.
Yeah.
And we've had so many ups and downs. We got promoted a few years later with Ian Dowie and Andy Johnson, and came back down again, and then we had another administration and went to Hillsborough in 2010, and genuinely didn't know if it would be the last time I'd see the club play, and now here we are.
Yeah, this surely is the highest of highs, as you said. Well, maybe not right now, but a few months ago was the highest of highs. I was our mascot for Liverpool. I was against Crystal Palace.
Really?
So it was Trevor Francis when he was manager. Yeah. It was you beat us in the cup at
2-0.
Anfield. Yeah,
Julian Gray scored.
So I was on the pitch there. Yeah,
Who
he scored. Yeah, Sammy Appiah sent me up, cop end, bottom corner. No one talks about that though. They just talk about Palace winning. Yeah,
that was probably the one highlight of Liverpool's night that night.
Yeah, with me. Yeah, and I met Didier Man after he was eating a cheese butty over my shoulder. That was all the best bits. Gerrard was suspended as well, so I still haven't got to meet him. That was he's the hero. So yeah, that's my Palace shared knowledge, but also being a Liverpool fan, I can touch on a few of your maybe your better days have been some of our worst ones. There's Crystal as it gets called. Although I still think we fine. It wasn't that game. I think it's overplayed, that one, but it's fine.
It was the Chelsea game.
Yeah, and it was Victor Moses overplayed pass, which meant Henderson dived in, which sent him off, which has then killed him because he was the legs in that midfield. But many little things, and then I think wasn't it Gerrard's last game in Anfield? He ruined that one as well.
Yeah.
Obviously the last game of last season, when we won the league. That was really boring. You could have just played it on. We give you the guard of honour and everything. You could have just let us score a few. I think that was the only game where everyone stayed in the Kop for ages.
Yeah.
At half time. Because that Federico Chiesa song was kicking off. He obviously hardly even kicked the ball for us. And everyone there was smoke bombs going off. Everyone was bouncing. It was so much more fun in the concourse than that game was. So I think Palace, and then obviously you've had the Charity Shield, knocked us out the cup this year. Do you feel like you've got a bit of a hoodoo over Liverpool, or is that not something that comes into your mind?
It feels like it's back, doesn't it? Because I'd say there was a long time. That game at the end of the season, though, I didn't get to it because I actually had the first time I did my prep show was that day, and I didn't realise I booked it. I didn't realise the games were on the Sunday, not the Saturday. And I was genuinely, because we just won the cup, and it was going to be league winners against cup winners. There was going to be a double guard of honour, which there was such a nice touch from Liverpool to then do it for Palace. I wanted to go, but my show finished at 1:00 and the kickoff was 4. And I was like, can I get to Anfield from Cheshire in 3 hours? I was like, by helicopter, yes, I think I can. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it. So I had to watch it on TV. But that was really nice. And mates that went up said they had such nice interaction with Liverpool fans. The Liverpool fans like shaking Palace fans' hand, and Liverpool fans really sort of revelling. Obviously, we've beaten City, but I think just that cup win, I think a lot of people enjoyed it because it was an underdog winning for the first time in a while. But you're right, we've had so many. The last year seems like it was the first time, maybe for 10 years, where we had a slight hoodoo over Liverpool. But the one for me is like Crystal, and then there was the Gerrard's last game, which I think was a season or two after. There was another home game, the end of the same year as Crystal, where we had Neil Warnock as manager. We beat you at Sellers 3-1. Jednak scored an incredible free kick. Yeah. Ricky Lambert opened
I was
scoring.
there. I was at that game.
Right.
Yeah. So, that was a good one to go to. Yeah, Ricky Lambert scored right at the start.
Ricky Lambert scored, and then we came back. There was even, to be fair, even the previous time we were in the Premier League to that, which was 2004-05, we beat you at home then as well. Andy Johnson scored. We beat you 1-0, I think. So we did have a bit of a run. And then we got relegated after that. We beat you in the League Cup that year as well. Dougie Freedman scored a header. So, yeah, but there was... Then when Klopp took over, 2015, I think we were the first team to beat Klopp at Anfield.
Was that Allardyce then, or was that?
Oh, there was...
But no, you definitely... Because it was that one where Klopp said, I've never felt more alone that game.
Yeah.
He was like, because...
He was like, and we got to play fucking Crystal Palace.
yeah. And it was like, because people were like, leave. I think it was more like, because that's like, I think the West Brom game came after that when he was doing that. He was trying to say, I need you to be on board, which people mock him for.
Yeah.
Whatever. But that was all
because
part
the context
of that
is different.
Thing was like, because I need you to be behind me type thing, yeah.
But there was, I would say, after that, up until maybe last year, there was a good 7 or 8 years run where you just battered us. You know, those runs only come in bits, really. And it's funny how they do sometimes come in.
So was that COVID on one? We like 7-0?
Yeah, 7-0.
Every shot just went in that game and stuff like that. Yeah. So we have had a few of them.
Yeah, there's been a few.
But I feel like you win at the right time. We just win a routine league game. But you seem to get the big ones against us. So what is the most Crystal Palace thing that's ever happened?
If you'd have got me on last year, I'd probably be going back to administration or something. But it's definitely... losing your first ever game as FA Cup holders to a team who are in the 6th tier of English football, thus the biggest gap that's ever happened in the history of the FA Cup. It cannot be more Palace. We're saying off air, they made a whole special football for us.
On the screen there,
cup holders football. We had it for 90 minutes. We lost to a guy who's a milkman during the week or whatever. Like it's so Palace to do that. And actually, when it happened, I don't know if it's because we won the cup last year or just because we had a great year, or maybe because Palace fans, as with most football fans, been through a lot, so you get hardened. No one really lost their heads. Everyone just found it funny.
Yeah.
I remember watching it, I'm just laughing, like, this is ridiculous. This is so Palace.
You've managed to have the whole country support you in the final, and the whole country want you to get beat in the next game you play. But Palace, was it? It was just like the magic of the cup.
And if it had been if Macca played against anyone else, I'd have wanted them to win, of course, because it is the magic of the cup. And arguably, you could say that we kept the cup alive 2 seasons in a row. We just love the cup. We just want to keep the magic going. But yeah, and also with that game, it's not just the losing, the manner of the defeat. We were Macclesfield. They didn't smash and grab us. We were terrible. We were poor. We were worse than a team full of postmen.
Was it Rooney's brother's the manager? I'm not sure it was him who said it, or Franny Jeffers who said that. Wasn't like Gay was like moaning about the pitch and all stuff like that. So, like, they were saying it was 1-0 before the game had even started. It's like, that is a bit strange, and you'd think, especially as the holders and knowing how important, how much you must have enjoyed the last season. Yeah, it's weird that they were so almost negative going into it as well.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit of complacency, and I have to admit, like, I'm not used to Palace being complacent, because I'm not used to us being good. You know,
to be more humble.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I just spent 30 years being humble. To be complacent, you have to be good, and we haven't been historically. So yeah, I think they were a little bit maybe over arrogant, overconfident, complacent. If I was Gay, I wouldn't be saying it. I'd be saying that in the change room. I wouldn't be saying it to the captain and the manager of the team. So very, very strange. And obviously that has then been the catalyst for the last 2 months, where everything's just completely fallen apart. I mean, again, that's very Palace, that we can't have one bad moment. We have to have 50 crammed into a 6-week period.
It feels like you're more comfortable in this stuff. Like, you see, like you're out of your depth being good, so now you're back into the cozy pair of slippers. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Palace slippers, where you're going to go to administration and the manager wants to leave every 5 minutes. Yeah,
you need a few holes in them for it to be good. Yeah.
My mate has got a meme he keeps sharing in our WhatsApp groups, our Palace groups, and it's almost every day. And it's a clip from The Simpsons where Bart goes to Homer, "This is the worst day of my life," and Homer goes, "It's the worst day of your life so far." And we've got it going, "This is the worst day of Palace ever. It's the worst day of Palace so far." And it's been so applicable, because the next week something else will happen. But that's football.
We'll move on slightly from Palace. Are you a fantasy football fan? I think that's correct.
I wouldn't say fan. I'm a fantasy football addict.
Okay, well, I think fantasy football is just a waste of time, and I quit after the second week. So please tell me why I'm wrong. Because I used to do it. Yeah. And then, as I say, probably the most I've done is 6 months of the season. Yeah. Now I just refuse to do it. Because I do all this, all my mates are like, got a fantasy football team, surely you'll want to play. And I can't pick people I don't like. Like, we'll maybe get into this later, I'm not an England fan. I can't cheer on whoever. Go back in the days, I can't cheer on Rooney and Lampard after hating them all season. I can't pick Haaland up front and go, Haaland scored a hat-trick, because no, I'd rather I don't want him to break his leg. Just pull a calf or something, he's out for the game. I don't want to. I think it was a couple of seasons ago, my mate said, "You know, you're the only person in the league who hasn't got Haaland up front." I was like, "Good, I don't want him." Yeah, I don't even care if he scores. I don't feel bad. Yeah, so I can't pick United. I don't know. Maybe pick one Everton player at the back, because it doesn't feel as bad. Yeah. But I just can't do it. I can't get my head into it. I'm not saying I'm right. Please tell me why I'm wrong.
No, you're not. You're right. You're bang on. You're right not to play. It's a complete waste of time. It's damaging to your life. It's damaging to your marriage. Okay. It is damaging to your mental health. It's an obsession. I found out last year that I've got ADHD, and it massively makes a lot of my life suddenly make sense, especially fantasy football. To become like good at it, you basically have to as with anything in life, completely immerse yourself in it. So I follow tons of FPL people on Twitter, and I watch videos, and I'm constantly taking in stats and stuff. And then over the course of the last few years, that means I've got slightly better at it. But that's what happens. But at the same time, my kids like pulling my leg, going, "Dad, make us dinner." And I'm like, "No, I'm just checking on Jorginho's fixtures." So yeah, I wouldn't actually recommend it. Apart from that, I've got a good little routine for my stand-up show out of it, so that's almost been worth it. But yeah, it's basically a constant search for dopamine. But it does ruin a lot of weekends watching football, because inevitably you're picking 15 or 11 players out of so many. The odds that all those players will do well that weekend are so low anyway. So you're basically banking or hoping for things that aren't going to happen. If you get a week where 4 or 5 of your players do something good, the odds of that are so small anyway. That's basically a miracle. So you're asking for miracles every weekend, and then you're getting disappointed when miracles don't happen. It's not a healthy relationship, but when you have a good week, oh God, it hits like crack. It hits like crack. It's so I'm told. It is absolutely excellent. And I have actually met a lot of people through the FPL community, and actually a lot of them are really, really sound.
I gotta say sad then. I really thought you were saying that then.
They are the saddest people I've ever met in my entire life, but now I'm one of them.
You feel at home, yeah.
It's also a good conversation starter. So I've got a personal trainer called Sam. He's a lovely guy, and I got him when I first moved to where I live, because I'm not from there, just to like have something to do. And he's obsessed with fantasy football, and we talk about it almost every session. And I try. He's got better now, but I try and like use it as a way of distracting him to stop him like making me do stuff. Oh, who are you pick at the weekend? What are you doing? A free hit? And he's like, right, that's an extra 20. I was like, damn it. But it is a good, it is a good conversation starter.
I guess it makes like Brentford versus Villa more interesting for that's the only thing I can think.
It does. It makes the build up to it more interesting. But then the 90 minutes when Kelleher concedes a penalty and lets in 3, it makes it more annoying than it would have been. You wouldn't have watched it before. So I also do WSL fantasy football.
Okay.
So women's top league fantasy football, and I'm not very good, but it's been really, really helpful in finding out more about women's football, learning more about the players. And so now I feel a little bit like if I sit down and watch a women's game, I'm like, oh yeah, she's good because she got me 4 points last week or whatever. Yeah. So that's been quite a good way of that kind of doing that research. And I'm getting slightly better at that. And I've now got a few sort of like favourite players, and they're not Palace aren't in the WSL. But like Grace Clinton, for example, was an absolutely brilliant midfielder because she got me loads of points last year playing for Man United. So yeah, I am trying to justify my obsession, aren't I? It's not
that's sad. I don't know. I feel like it's like 50-50. I don't know. It's like, people who like it and who don't like it. It's popular.
Yeah.
But I think it's also unpopular. You know what I mean? I think it's a weird one. But like, it must be good. And I have tried it. I'm not having a go at you for enjoying it.
Do you know what you could do?
Intrigued.
Do you know what you could do? Because there's a lot of, I think there's a cut-off point. I think you need to be engaged, look at the fixtures, look who's in form, whatever, and then do your transfers and put your phone down. I'm the sort of person that's like going up right to deadline, looking for like leaks online. Oh, is it Haaland starting this week?
Like with the physio is drop someone on their fancy team and everyone.
Exactly, they stopped all that now. They've moved the deadline or stuff. Like people were like hacking into teams to find out who like Aston Villa's physio was picking and stuff. There are, and I'm doing not great this season. I think it's because I overthink it. There's people on Twitter who are finding like dead teams, people who've like done a team at the start of the season, left it, not done any transfers, any chips, and they're like top 100 in the world. So you could just do that and just look in each week and see how you do. Don't make a transfer, don't engage. You'll probably do better.
You want like people who don't get injured. 11.
Yeah, people that are going to play each week.
Yeah.
Just do that, and then you haven't got to like engage too much, and you'll probably do better than 99%.
And then if they beat you, they're sad if you win.
Exactly.
Exactly. I can do that.
Exactly.
Well, moving on from fantasy football, then again, maybe you do the 92 clubs and you do lots of football skits. How I touched on the fantasy football there is that I can't enjoy rival teams do well.
Yeah.
What's it like wearing other teams' shirts? Because I couldn't ever do that. And like I understand why you do it, and people do it fine, and obviously it works for you. But especially like you hate Brighton, I assume that must feel like burning your skin.
The Brighton one, I actually don't wear a Brighton shirt.
Okay, sorry, yep.
So there's a way around that one, and the way around it is I'm still taking the piss out of Brighton. So for Brighton, when I do Brighton fans, I wear a Chelsea shirt with a Brighton jacket over the top.
Okay.
Because basically all their fans are Chelsea fans, aren't they? They've all got two. Every Brighton fan I know has got two teams. I know one, I won't say his name, he supports Liverpool and Brighton.
That's bad,
and he's from Brighton. I'm like,
what's the point?
Why? Yeah. How? And so I went in a group with some mates, and every time there's a weekend where maybe like Liverpool and Brighton lose, we're like, well, what's he going to do now? I mean, what? His life's ended. But no, for most of them, I don't mind. I do, as I said before, I do have a football shirt obsession. So actually, I just love football shirts, and I quite like wearing other shirts sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've got no problem with putting on a Liverpool shirt, an Everton shirt, even Man United. I don't really care. I just like wearing the shirt.
Palace fans hate many teams? Because I feel like I hate quite a lot of teams, but maybe that's maybe about me or Liverpool.
But I think higher profile teams have more rivalries because you're often going head to head with other big teams that aren't from your area for titles. So, Man United, Arsenal, big rivalry. No reason really for that. Geographically, that's not a word. Geographically, thank you. God, cut that. But lots of titles and stuff. Man United, Newcastle, I guess, back in the 90s and stuff. we don't have that. You know, even the cup final last year, that's not going to create rivalry with Man City. In fact, all the Man City fans I know were incredibly gracious and really nice about it. Again, because I think they'd rather lose to Palace than lose to United or Liverpool or whatever. So our three main rivals really are Brighton, Millwall and Charlton. And Millwall and Charlton, for obvious reasons, they're around the corner. The Brighton one is obviously weird, but I'm so sick of talking about it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask you about it, already.
Well, I got asked.
It is ridiculous.
I say I'm sick of talking about it. I did get asked by Canal Plus Poland this year to talk about it. And I was like, I'm so sick of talking about it. We'll give you 100 quid. So anyway, Palace and Brighton started in 1970. But yeah, it's a funny one. But and actually, I've down the years got to know quite a lot of Brighton fans. I used to play in a charity match. It's quite sad actually. It was the Robert Eaton Memorial Fund, and it was set up.
Otherwise sad. So I thought you were like just sad when you played it. I was like, here we go.
It's genuinely sad. Sorry.
Okay, fine, yeah. Okay. Not fancy football, sad, yeah.
I should have lowered my tone, mate. This is genuinely sad.
Okay. I'll lower my face. Sorry.
You're right. I forgot the last time we said sad. It was. Yeah, sorry. Generally sad. You can put like the sad music on now.
This morning now. I don't think. Oh yeah.
The bloopers. Have you seen that clip from there's an Irish daytime TV, and it's apparently this guy, I think he used to be a sportsman, he's quite known for like doing gaffes on Irish breakfast TV, and his co-presenter, a woman, goes, so says the name, so you know, Seamus or whatever was only 9 years old when he and his 10 siblings, and the guy goes, 10 siblings, and she goes, lost their mother and father.
I have said that, yeah.
And the other guy goes, poof. It's like Father Dougal being on TV. It's so good. I watch that probably once a week. It is so good. What was the question again?
You were saying about,
sorry, the Brighton. So basically, there's a charity match called the Robert Eaton Memorial Fund, and Robert Eaton was a Brighton fan who was killed in 9/11, so 2001, and his friends set up a charity. And then sort of all events around it, one of them being this charity match between Palace and Brighton fans. The first year, I think, was actually really not long after the attacks. And I got involved a year later, 2002. I was only 18 at the time. There's a programme with me with bleached blonde hair on the front of it. I looked incredible. I'd love to do it now, but my wife thinks it looked like I'm having a breakdown, which it probably would. So anyway, I played in that up until the last game was a couple of years ago at the Amex, 3 or 4 years ago. So that it ran for 20 years. And I got to know so many of the guys from the Brighton side of things down there, and they're just such great people doing a really good thing, raising money for a great charity. They were just like us, and most football fans are. They were just like us, similar sized clubs, the fan bases literally bleed into one another in Sussex and Surrey, and I just couldn't. So I have to admit, if you're asking me who I really hate, it's probably Millwall, but then they're easy to hate because they're just scum. I think everyone hates them, and that's no offense to Millwall fans. I think they revel in that. I think they'd happily admit they're scum. They like that. Charlton are a nothing club, so it's difficult to get feelings to them.
So do you have to buy all the shirts at the start of the season then, or and do you get the black ones, or?
It depends what's on Vinted, and I'm not too fussed whether it's. Yeah.
It sounds like an expensive
it can be
hobby to be getting into.
To admit, last season I sort of stopped doing some of them. I used to do these videos where I'd do like what every football fan didn't say or something during the week. Then I'd have to have all the shirts. So then end of the season, I'd be like, please Norwich come back up, because I've already got a Norwich shirt from 2 years ago. Please Fulham come back up. I thought I guess I got a Leeds one. So yeah, I would, obviously there's the main core of 15 or so shirts that just are never going to get relegated. But yeah, it is a bit expensive. And then you're going on Vinted and you're like trying to haggle for a Fulham shirt for £8. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I don't even support Fulham. I've got a job to do. So it is a bit weird. And I get why people say it's weird. But to be honest, I welcome it, because anyone that posts on my video going, oh, why are you wearing those shirts? It's engagement.
Yeah,
and I'll take it.
Any comments will do, yeah. And then you've not just done the football comedy stuff, you've done football media, and I was looking on your website. Is it the Declan Rice thing, or Muller Rice?
Yeah.
Was there any involvement with him, or just watching the football?
So I was brought on to do like community management on that. So one of my side hustles, I guess, is doing social media stuff for like brands and stuff and agencies. So I was brought on board to help when pushing the assets up. So I didn't get to meet Declan Rice. They'd filmed all this stuff with Declan. Muller Rice had filmed all this stuff with Declan Rice, eating Muller Rice and stuff. Yeah. By all accounts, he was absolutely sound and did everything stupid they asked. But I know I did ask, can I meet Declan? And they were like, no, you're working for us 1 day a week. Go away.
But you've interviewed a few players.
Yeah.
Was America with Ian Wright? Did I see that?
Yeah. Interviewed. That was a long time ago when I was first getting into. Do you remember a company called Ball Street? Years ago. And they used to do. And Paul and Chris from Redmond worked for them.
Because they did that. It was like all the clubs.
All the clubs. They were like one of the first companies.
The overlap type.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So and Ian Wright was a business partner of that company, and I was just around as a Palace guy. Knew some of the guys there, so I interviewed Ian a couple of times there. He's a really nice guy. I'm really chuffed he's gone on to have a really good media career because he's sound bloke, and people are sort of getting on board with what good guy he is, especially around women's football and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. I haven't seen him for a long time. He did this thing at Ball Street. It's like 2015, called One More Game, where Ian was going to play his last ever game. He does like loads of hip and knee injuries and stuff at Wembley, and they were going to invite. Content creator wasn't even a thing then, but like people who do stuff to take part in this game. And one of the ways to do it was like this football challenge day where they got a guy called Steve from STR Skills School, who's a nice guy. They got a Poet's Corner guy from that used to do the stuff on
Poet and Vouge.
That's right. Yeah. And we all did part in these games, and me all did part in these games. And the winner was going to play in the game, and I got through to the final. It was like maybe like 8 or 9 of us start with it. It was like keep you up a challenge. I did that. It was like penalties, did that, whatever. Got through to the final against Steve from STR, and it was a penalty shootout. And I dinked my first one over the keeper. I was like, yes, it's all being filmed. I was like, yes, and then got on camera, and then I smashed my next one wide. I was like, crap. And Steve scored all of his, and so I went out, and the winner got to play in the game. So I was like, oh, shame. Okay, well, never mind. And Righty was there on the day and like filming and stuff. And he was brilliant. Great. It was a great day. And then so I was like, oh, well, I'm not in the game, so I won't go, never mind, to Wembley, whatever. And then I went to see them all at Ball Street like a week or two later, and they were like, you never came to Wembley? And I was like, yeah, I lost the thing. And they were like, no, we got a shirt for you. And I had a whole shirt and kit. And I could have played in the game. I had like Daily 4 on the back of it. I was like, oh, I obviously did not get that message because I was just at home. So I could have played at Wembley with Ian Wright.
That's good.
And never mind, I'm not still bitter about it 12 years later. But yeah, I've been lucky enough then after that to sort of do a lot of presenting and stuff and interview a ton of footballers. Do various
good
things.
stories you can tell us?
Not really. They're all there's two types of footballer. There's like the media trained, quite sort of, and you'll ask him a question and it'll just come back to yeah, we done well, and it was we're buzzing really. Or there's the footballer that's got a bit more about him. Like I worked at Yahoo for a couple of years on a football show, and we'd get footballers on, and our job, me and Dave, my comedy partner, was to basically ask them stupid questions. So we asked Mickey, we do like a quick fire question. We asked Mickey Gray, the Sunderland legend, who would win in a fight, a Newcastle fan or the Newcastle fan that punched a horse? Which is great, because you get to see these footballers go, oh, I'm being asked a stupid question, brilliant, rather than a boring question. But the footballer that I think I most enjoyed being around was the late Kevin Campbell. He was such a nice guy. He had a big smile, big booming laugh, and immediately, even before filming, he was like, oh, you guys are idiots, aren't you? We were like, yeah, we are. And so he just bought into it, and he was super nice. We had Trevor Sinclair came on quite a few times. I don't know if he was just available on a Friday morning, but he was often on, and he very much got into the spirit of taking the piss. So he would take the piss out of me a lot. And sometimes I'd be on Twitter tweeting something, and he'd be like, well, that's because you're shit, Jim, or something. Like, Trevor, what's Trevor Sinclair just like taking the piss out of me on Twitter? This is so weird. But no particular like crazy stories. They're either a bit, like that, or they're really nice, and they're just a nice person you've met who happened to play for England or whatever. So I overslept for one of the shows. It's a Christmas show. I overslept because I had to get up really early in the morning, and I basically woke up when they were filming, and they're just like an hour away in London, so I'm never going to make it. And they had Sean Davis, the Fulham midfielder, and apparently he was very dry. Apparently that was the toughest episode. He was pretty dry, but apparently very nice. It hasn't gone on to do much media stuff. So, but we had Clint. We were basically still the Yahoo show. I think we were the first show that Clinton. I'm not gonna say I made Clinton Morrison, but he came on the show. In fact, he didn't come on the show. He was booked to come on the show one Friday, and didn't turn up, and they couldn't get hold of him. And it turns out his agent had told him it was the next Friday. So we basically had to cancel the show. And I was like, brilliant. That is so Clinton to not turn up to do your first show. Came the next week, and he was brilliant, like so good on set, bantering with the crowd, bantering with me. I was a Palace fan, so I'd sort of known him a bit, but like hadn't really spent time with him. Went to have lunch afterwards. Most time the footballers leave, he stayed for lunch. Had chatted with us, really lovely guy. And then he kept coming on and getting booked. So he and I would constantly film stuff, and we filmed tons of funny things about like my old Palace shirt and him writing Morrison on the back of it and stuff, and him trying to teach me the Irish national anthem because I was like, I bet you don't know the Irish national anthem. He was like, oh, I do, and then he didn't really know it, and then I didn't know it. I despite being half Irish, well, so like him trying to teach me like dances and stuff. Such a good guy, and I've then gone on to have a bit of a relationship with him, and I've interviewed him a few times on other things, and did a live podcast with my Palace pod recently, and he was the guest, and he was so good. So yeah, it's been quite good for sort of forming relationships with not only footballers, but he was my hero as a kid. I remember him playing for Palace when I was 15, 16. So it's nice sometimes you meet these people who you watch growing up, and then you realise, oh my God, they're really, really nice people.
Yeah, I always think when you meet one as well, I always stare at the head of the foot and think, oh, you scored that goal. It's just, I always think it's mad, like, they've got feet, and that's the foot that scored it and all that. So I did the Legends game last year, and got Peter Crouch was there, and it was just in the press conference, but I got a selfie with him after. It's just like, that is mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
like the year before, Torres was there, and like, he's like massive.
He's
now.
massive,
It was like he felt like a couch. That's literally what I felt like when I got a picture with him. I was like, that's mad that, like, he's chest and visage out the way and floored in the score. I always think it's mad that they're real people, I think, as well.
Yeah.
My season ticket on the Cops row 3. So like Van Dijk is human, I can vouch for it.
Yeah.
And he's like right there, and then you hear him shout, and I said, that's my brother, we both go like, like, why is that impressive that man in front of you can hear him talk, and he's got legs?
They are
it's
like,
just mad,
they're like gods.
It's just mad,
aren't they? They're like robot gods, and it is weird when you're near them or you meet them and they're just like normal people. It is a bit.
Curtis Jones, it was like 2 games ago, he jumped over the advertising boards, one of them. Do you remember that one, the Liverpool fan, when the horse falls over? That wasn't you taking a photo of that one. No, I wish I had a camera to do it, because he was like that, he ran over. I was like, oh, his hair looks so fluffy. That's the one thing I could give you on Jones, by being this far away from him. But yeah, it's just mad that they're real people, and as you said, most of them that you meet, they do seem fine. You hear stories about people more than you.
I think those stories possibly were a bit of a 90s, 2000s thing. I think they've died off with those footballers retiring. A lot of the younger generation, or maybe I guess some of the players I've interviewed are that generation. If they're in media and you're interviewing them, I think they've become way more savvy in terms of being on when you're chatting to them. And also younger players now just seem to don't booze as much as old players don't seem to sort of get involved in that. I've been lucky enough to play in quite a few sort of charity matches with players, and it's a Clinton Morrison story again. I was playing back 3 is the Palace for Life Foundation, who I do hosting for sometimes. They're brilliant people, do amazing work in South London, and they had a game called Palace Aid, and I was playing the back 3 with that journalist, what's his name, Neil thingy, the journalist now works, I can't remember his name, some random fan and me. Back 3, I don't know, playing defence, and the front 3 was on the other team was Clinton Morrison, Julian Gray, and Mikel Forsell, who went on to play for Birmingham. And at one point the other 2 defenders had left me, and I was 1-on-1, me versus Morrison and Gray. So Morrison's our like third top goal scorer, Julian Gray, one of our most key wingers, certainly in the promotion years, and they're bearing down on me, and I don't know how I did this, but I somehow managed to block Clinton Morrison in the box, and they didn't score. And he was livid. And I was so happy. And every time I see him, a reminder of that. I think that's probably the peak of my football ability, that I stopped Palace's 4th top goal scorer from scoring a goal at Selhurst. It was so good. But then that's the same game that I tried to go shoulder to shoulder with Dean Austin and went flying about 20 yards. I forgot, oh yeah, you're a professional footballer, or you were a professional footballer. So yeah, mad times, great fun.
Yeah, that's boss. Well, I want to ask a couple more questions about your comedy, and then we'll finish with like what we normally do here, which is like our debates and stuff like that. I saw you say that you gentle comedy, and you want to be the nicest guy in comedy. Yeah. You've sworn a couple of times here, which is absolutely fine. But like, because I'm not someone who really swears at all. Like, Liverpool fans sing we've won the effing lot, and I sing we've got on slot. That's how bad I am, that I don't really swear that much.
That's wholesome.
But mainly because I'm next to my brother, but like I don't really like swearing that much. Yeah. So I'm really ashamed that you've sworn a couple of times. But here I'm not really messing. But so why is that you want to be that type of family friendly, gentle comedy, nicest guy in comedy type thing?
To be honest, at home I do actually swear a lot, and you see it does slip out a lot in conversation. But I found on stage, when I swear on stage, it's often and I can't speak for any other comedian, but it's often for me when I'm in a bit of a nervous moment where either a joke hasn't landed or I don't know what I'm saying, it's nearly always filler. It's very, very rarely emphasizing a joke. And so when I did my Edinburgh show in 2022, I did like a preview, and someone said to me, well, that was really clean. And I thought, oh yeah, I don't think I swore in there.
So was it your YouTube description on the thing? It was like family friendly version to that, wasn't there? Deliberate effort to be family friendly, or
not initially. It just sort of happened. And then I realised in my Edinburgh run, I was getting a lot of families coming to the show. So I was like, oh, actually, let's try and not swear. And actually, none of my jokes had swear words in them. Like it didn't add to anything. If it was me swearing, it was in like a moment of emotion. So I really tried to cut it out. And I realised I was getting a lot of families turning up. So I don't know if word was going around. And then I got a review, my own review, from this. It's called Mervyn Stutter's Pick of the Fringe. It's like this long-running sort of showcase thing. It's quite prestigious. And I got 4 stars, which was great. So I was like absolutely buzzing. I got to go on that showcase at the Pleasance, which was great. But the guy that reviewed it said to me, he said, I haven't seen much clean comedy done well this year at the Fringe. And I was like, oh, I was firstly like, thank you so much. And I was like, wow, okay, so that is a thing. It really is like an actual thing. So, and then of course I started thinking, well, online I have a lot of like young followers, so it makes sense for me, I guess, to maybe not swear and to try and keep it clean. I also think I give off, and this is because it's my personality, quite a sort of family-friendly, clean image anyway. So if I was like an edgy comedian, then obviously maybe that's more becomes the territory. So I just tried to make an effort to do that. And sometimes when you're writing sketches, a swear word works as a full stop or as a punchline sometimes, so you go for it. I obviously star it all out. Sometimes I try and write it down. So if I've gone with this word, I'll try and think, can I replace that with another word that's not as strong, that maybe still has the punch? And sometimes it doesn't. Like, and in some of the heckles I've got, there was the odd swear word slipped into them when I'm doing them on stage. But again, that's in the context of a heckle where it's supposed to be sort of jokey, harsh, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, I do. But if you said to my wife, oh, Jim doesn't swear much, she'd be like, you joking? Although incredibly, I managed to not swear around the kids quite often. I don't know how I've done that. So clearly, I'm quite good at turning it off and on.
Yeah. Well, to finish up on yourself, obviously, we've already mentioned Match of the Daily. You said, obviously, grew to fame online with songs, but obviously you did sketches as well. What's like the balance between the two, and then how hard was it to make this show? Was it something you enjoyed doing, or
it was really easy? Like when I decided I was doing the show, I said to my agent, I could do this tomorrow. Like if you booked me somewhere tomorrow, I could probably do it, because I just got so much material from online stuff, and I'm constantly writing notes on my phone, on my laptop. So, and I'd written a ton of the heckles. So yeah, it's really easy to come together. What I'm in the process of now is fleshing out the heckles and actually chopping stuff down and updating. I've got a whole bit in my show about how Palace are the most ridiculous team in the world, which I've had to update massively since the turn of the year. Last year, I was saying that bit with the caveat of like, obviously not this year, guys, but previously. And now I'm like, oh, we're bad again. Brilliant.
Back, yeah.
We're back. Yeah, we've never been so back. So it's just fleshing that. But really, I'm ready to go, to be honest. I've got a preview next Monday. I'm going to do a ton of the heckles just to sort of see which ones work. But I'm ready to go. But the show basically, I initially wanted it to just be me singing songs, because obviously I've done the songs for so long. I think I've got like a back catalogue of like 150 songs or something. So I was like, I could do like 10 or 12 of those in the show. That could be fun. And then as ever with comedy, you start then having ideas and you think, oh no, I could do this, and oh, I like that Palace bit, and oh, I could do the heckles. And of course that means there's fewer songs. It stops becoming a music gig and it starts becoming a, it's almost like a variety night sort of gig.
Yeah.
So I open with the 92 song, because that's what everyone knows me for, and that's a nice way of setting the room, because then I can say to people, oh, when you hear your team, give us a cheer. And after the song, go, oh, we had a Mansfield fan there, and we've got a Northampton fan, whatever. And it's quite a nice way of like setting the room. And then I do some stand-up-y bits. I do the bit about Palace being terrible. I do the heckles. I then do a couple other songs. I got a song about Wayne Rooney's best tweets, which I love doing. I'm going to do the end of the season song. Then I'll do some more heckles. I've got a game show about Spurs, which really only works if there's a Spurs fan in the audience, but I might still do it anyway because everyone loves taking a piss out of Spurs.
So do you want them to stay up or go down for that game show?
I think if they go down, it'd be even funnier.
So
it'd be absolutely fine. I've got another game show bit I'm working on about like football career paths, but I'm going to do it with a twist. And then I'm going to end, and I won't reveal here too much, but I'm going to end with a special song that I've never done before. That is the one song that everyone asked me for. That's all I'm going to say. So there's a little teaser, but that'll be exclusive to the tour.
Nice. And then obviously stick around because you're going to do some of the heckles. So we've got our Patreon here. It's only £1 to sign up. We're gonna go. I've got a list of clubs. We're doing some, and then we'll put a clip out from that to try and get more. But we'll do it now. We'll do it now. Just like
I'll get my phone out later.
Yeah.
For that.
But I want to ask you as well about like a TikTok comedian and a musical comedian. There's some taboos about that, and that it's like looked down upon by other comedians.
Mm-hmm.
What would your comeback be to that?
I'll swear. I'm not to swear, but I'll swear. It'd be funny if I swear.
You can, it's fun.
No, I get that. And when I started out, I didn't. I stopped doing musical comedy for a while. And in fact, I still don't really. If I'm doing club sets, I don't really do musical comedy. Again, it depends on the room. A lot of the times because I use a backing track. So some comedians get on stage and they play a guitar and it's brilliant.
Well, it's like when someone picks a guitar up,
you
do something and people go, "Oh God, here we go." But then, you feel like you're supposed to think that, but then they are also funny as well. So like,
well, there's a theory that people actually, audiences. I think a lot of comedians go, "Oh, yeah, well, that's 5 minutes song. They're cheating," kind of thing.
Yeah. And
I do get that. And I think I kind of used to think that, which is why I started doing straight stand-up. The reason I stopped doing musical stuff is I would go to a gig, try and plug my phone in to do the backing track for whatever, and like the amp would be like from 1975, and then wouldn't. Oh God, well now I've got to fill for 5 minutes. So I just started writing non-musical stuff to like, and then really enjoyed doing it. But there's a theory that audiences separate different forms of entertainment. So if a musician goes up, they're like, "Oh, that's really good." If a comedian goes up, that's good. When they do both, in an audience's brain, they're like, "Oh my God, this is like next level." So then if someone goes up and does that well, and I've seen so many musical acts do amazing at club nights because the audience are now thinking, "Well, he must be good at that and he must be good at that," and then you are. It sort of blows their mind a little bit. The problem with a lot of these formats is when it's done badly. It's and I've done it badly myself many times. It then doubles it the other way. I think it's the same with like improv. When improv's done well, it's brilliant. When it's not, it's like being punched in the face repeatedly for 5 minutes. Like it's painful. Whereas I think with straight stand up, you can sort of get away with it a bit more if you're following a joke format. Even if the joke's not brilliant, audiences are used to punchline, punchline, whatever. So I get that. I think the TikTok thing's really interesting because I was very embarrassed about being an online comedian for a long time. Because again, I started doing stand up in 2012. So
because you like not. Because there's people who just get famous by doing funny 2-second, 30-second videos on TikTok and then get a tour.
Yeah.
And there's like the taboo that you've got like 20 minutes of material over your millions of views. Right?
Exactly.
Now you've got to do an hour. Like yours the other way around.
And I've seen it both ways. Like some people that aren't ready to do that and will go and do an hour show and they clearly have only got 20 minutes and they're fleshing it out. I've seen other people who have waited way too long and were really ready to do it. And I've seen people that have been smashing it on the circuit for years that have never got famous and never will get famous. Maybe because they don't look good for TV or because they can't afford to do Edinburgh. You know, it's expensive. So there's loads of reasons. I think since COVID, there's been a mind shift on TikTok and people have realised, oh, actually, it is a way for me to get an audience, whether I'm a seasoned comedian or not, whether I'm a club comic, a musical comedian, improv, sketch, whatever. And I started doing that thinking, well, I've already got an audience. I should actually start engaging in it. And then you start asking the audience, do you want me to gig? And people are going, yeah, come to here. And you think, well, if they want it and they like me, who cares if other comedians think it's lame or whatever? But I understand that. And I thought that for a while. I think now comedy is, when I started out, no one had Instagram, there was no TikTok. You just gigged and gigged. You didn't even film yourself. You took like audio things so you could listen back to it, and then you emailed promoters and they would give you 5 minutes and you had to do well. Now you send clips to people, which obviously make promoters' job easier, which is fair enough. But now I think comedians starting out, they start out with a Instagram page or a TikTok because they want to get the word out, people to know them and follow them. And maybe that's because audiences are changing and audiences now, maybe they want to see a comedian on. In fact, I think they do. One of the dads at school the other day said he was going to the comedy in our town. And he was like, yeah, and I went on and I looked on their TikTok. And I thought, oh, that's good. Well, you'd never done that back in the day. You'd just gone. And if the comedian was shit, well, you paid £5. Like it was, I think it's changed now. People want that research.
Like the views and the followers are like a sign of
an indication
before you even.
It's not always true. Some people are huge and they're not very good. And I know so many comedians who've got no following online. And if I go to a gig, they're going to be 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. So I think that has changed. But when I started out, it was very much gig, work the club circuit, then maybe get on TV or something. But I think COVID, of all the industries, COVID's completely changed comedy hugely.
People who want to come and see Match of the Daily, just remind them again. Why? How?
It's like the elevator pitch, isn't it? Why? Because it's an hour and a bit. Some of the venues are slightly longer, of easygoing, family-friendly football fun, and there will be a bit about your team. No matter who you support, there will be a bit about your team. How? If you go to jimdalycomedy.com/tour, all the ticket links are on there.
And we'll put stuff on screen and all that rubbish as well.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, especially the Liverpool one. Right, we always do a debate here. I try and keep track of the answers to people say, so we can answer the biggest debates in football history.
Okay.
You go in and as much as you want, or quick fire, whatever you want to do.
The debate.
First one is Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes. Put them in order for us, please.
You've gone straight in. Put them in order?
Yeah.
The problem is, as a 41-year-old who watched England throughout the 2000s, although I am half Irish and I always, hence the shirt, always lean towards more the Ireland, but Ireland have been, the national team been terrible for so long. The whole Lampard-Gerrard thing, my answer to that was always, but they're very different players. And the same with Scholes. It's 3 different players.
Yep.
So you're basically comparing apples with oranges with bananas. So I think I would rate, for arriving late in the box, you'd have Lampard top. In terms of driving his team on and being the biggest leader at that, you go Gerrard. For controlling a game from deep and pulling the strings, you go Scholes. So they all do, but you don't care about that. Yeah. You still want me to list them. I'm really aware of where I am right now as well.
You can say whatever you want, it's fine. Gerrard's winning by a landslide, so no matter what you say, it doesn't matter, is what I'd say, because he's quite far ahead. But I do keep asking Liverpool-based people, so that probably impacts
just get Liverpool
yeah. Just get another Liverpool fan in your stat pattern.
I loved Gerrard. And, the peak years, him and Torres, Liverpool was so good to watch, and he was just... And I do love a pile driver. I think Gerrard was like peak pile driver, that slamming it in from 30 yards, like so enjoyable. I did love Paul Scholes. I thought he was
so offensive.
I have to admit, I didn't really enjoy Lampard. I think I didn't appreciate Lampard maybe till he got a bit older and I was a bit older.
So he's third.
So he'll go third for that. I'll go Gerrard second and Scholes first. But with the caveat that I appreciate all 3. Such a politician's answer. Yeah. Let me be clear. They're all good.
So we all make mistakes. It's fine. That's fine. Next one is Messi or Ronaldo.
Messi.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, the results on that are quite damning for Ronaldo, I'd say, as well.
Yeah.
Next one, Pele or Maradona.
Oh, dear. Well, I think for kind of like what he did for the game in general and for the sort of... I don't say for sort of the pioneering the game of football. I guess he played it in a different time when he was younger. You have to go Pele, but for what he did for the cocaine industry, probably Maradona.
The Maradona wins, yeah.
I'll go Maradona because I think he was closer to... I remember watching him, towards the tail end on TV. Obviously that 94 World Cup when he obviously got in trouble. I don't really have a link to Pele, so I'll go for Maradona. But yeah, trouble man.
Salah or Hazard?
Oh, I don't think I've ever thought about that.
There you go.
Salah or Hazard? I think I don't know.
I think it seems to be with them too. It's the stat versus the eye test. It seems to be how people bring it down as that.
Which is probably the way I'm going to go as well, because I know Hazard was... the problem is he played for Chelsea, and Chelsea is just such an unlikable club. Sorry, Chelsea fans. Please come to my show. Well, they certainly were. I remember so many games, Palace-Chelsea. I remember John Terry scoring an own goal at the Homestay when we beat them 1-0 in our first season up. I've just been so happy. And it was John Terry as well. It was so good. But I can understand if you're a Chelsea fan at the time, Hazard would have been everything to you. Like, as you say, passed the eye test massively.
See, Anthony Gordon's got more Champions League goals than Hazard.
Really?
This season versus Hazard's career.
Well, this is going to be my answer, because for longevity, it's obviously Salah, isn't it? For doing it for longer in the league. And actually, going back to fantasy football, players like Salah, in terms of their consistency, And I know he's probably now maybe coming to the end of that and possibly tailing off, but it happens to all of us. Doesn't happen to me. I just keep going. I think what he's done in terms of his numbers is absolutely unreal, and the consistency of doing it. So I'll probably go for that. But I mean, Hazard was great, wasn't he? But I think for literally winning me tons of fantasy football leagues and thus money, I'll go for Mo Salah.
Okay, so I'm sure he'll be happy with that. That's the main reason. Next one, Haaland or Mbappe?
I'd probably Haaland, just because I watch him more. I just don't watch Mbappe. Yeah. And he's a machine, isn't he, Haaland? So.
Yep. VAR or traditional refereeing?
My train leaves in 4 hours. I might miss it now because I've got so many opinions on VAR. I do miss traditional refereeing, but I do also remember constantly being annoyed at refs. And that's the whole reason we got it in.
Yeah.
But I do also think, on the flip side,
we're still annoyed at refs. We're still all annoyed at refs.
We're still annoyed at refs. And I think also we will never... VAR could be perfect, and it never will be, because it's still human error, run by humans. They could make all the VAR refs robots, make the referees robots. People would still get annoyed, because I think deep down, inherently, football fans like getting annoyed. And I think they like having something to moan about. Yeah. And football is an escape. And obviously, when it's going well, it's brilliant. But even when it's going well, I had to move from Lower Holmesdale a couple of years ago with mates Rob and Andy, because the guys behind us would moan at anything. And this was 2015, when by Christmas Palace were 5th under Pardew. We'd just beaten Newcastle 5-1, and the guys behind going, "Oh, we let him win. That's terrible." We're like, "Can you shut up? We are unbelievably good right now." So there'll be some fans that will find, and I think it is kind of our human nature. We like to moan. So in a way, that was kind of the good things about refs back then. And you could deflect. Oh, we played badly, but it was the ref. And we still do it on our Palace podcast now. Oh, we got Anthony Taylor. Oh, we always lose that. He's a terrible ref. I bet if you look at the stats, he's fairly consistent. So I don't know. I think goal line technology is cut and dry. Brilliant. With VAR, I don't know. I'm a bit of a drama queen. I do like the drama. I love it when they started doing their announcing to the stadium. There was a guy in the Palace European game the other day, and he had to do an announcement, and he clearly was really nervous because his mic got turned on, and you heard two massive. He clearly didn't want to talk to 25,000 people. It was so funny. And he then went. Oh, it's a Chelsea game when Canberra got a handball. He went. My decision is unintentional handball. All the Palace fans went, "Ray!" And he went, "Oh no, but I am giving a penalty." And everyone went, "Oh,
it's a fault." Yeah.
You got it completely wrong. So I do like that. For that, I do like the drama of that. And actually, I do quite like it when they go to you're watching at home and you're seeing the replay. The drama of that I do quite like, but the actual mechanics of VAR and the, taking away the kind of moments of celebration, it has killed a bit of the game. So I completely get that. So for that reason, I will go traditional refereeing.
Yeah, well, they pulled out that game the weekend, Forest.
Yeah.
So I'm celebrating because we scored.
Yeah.
Then it's VAR out. Then I celebrating we scored. I was going, something's going to be wrong with it. Then it's VAR. I was convinced they were going to give it offside because I couldn't see that iron behind them. And then they give it again. So I couldn't, in the space of, I think without VAR, we probably would have won 1-1-0. And with VAR, we still won 1-1-0, and I had to put about 10 times more emotions I had because of it. But yeah, I still hate it. What I don't get is how on FIFA are the offsides like that, and they can't just have that in real life. There must be something. They need to get EA Sport on it, I reckon, because they can't be that quick.
Well, we're supposed to have
to make any sense. The semi-automated.
We're supposed to have semi-automated, which is basically close to FIFA as possible.
Well, that's just they're still looking at it.
They're still looking at
the side, and
then they're going, and now they're drawing the lines. Why?
Yeah.
The whole point was to stop drawing lines. It's basically like MS Paint. You might as well get my kids to do it. Once you're drawing the lines, it could be anything.
Yeah, it's over. But anyway, let's move on. It will never end. Extra time or straight to penalties?
Straight to penalties.
And then I've got a few of the questions I asked you to prepare or have a think about the most underrated player of all time.
Of all time. The most underrated player of all time.
These are the ones that when you put the clip out, everyone hates you and disagrees with you.
Who have you had? What names have you had?
We got underrated first, yeah. Who have I had recently? I think Carrick's been mentioned. Henderson has been mentioned.
Really? Dino? Oh no, Jordan.
No,
Jordan.
Yeah. I understand why you went there. Sorry. We both had different ones that I've had. Who else have we had?
Those are two good shouts.
Yeah, people like that, and it don't have to be the world's best player, just someone who's good, but should be held with higher regard.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to go for. It is Palace related.
That's fine.
And it's a very emotional one. And it's a player that not underrated by Palace fans by any stretch of the imagination, but almost every single fan of every other club outside of Palace hates him. That's Wilfried Zaha.
I hate him, but yeah, good.
He's a very passionate guy, South London and proud, and I get why he would be hard to like sometimes. Very moany. He's admitted this. And that all just came from a place of like wanting to win, being very himself. But if you look at his numbers, he's our all-time top Premier League goal scorer. I had about 4 or 5 seasons on a row where he kept us up single-handedly. Like our most important player. Got a mural at Selhurst. Like, what a guy. Obviously still in the news recently because Mateta has said that when he said he wanted to play for France, Wilf laughed at him. And then Wilf went on his Instagram and said, "No, I didn't." So still managing to make himself. But an incredible, some of the stuff he did with football. I watched a clip the other day. Obviously, this is filmed in the middle of February and Palace are terrible. Hopefully by the time it goes out, we're good again. And there was a clip they put up from a couple of years ago under Vieira where we beat Watford away 4-1. And Wilf scored 2 classic Wilf goals where someone like MacArthur played on the ball. It's really out wide. Got 2 full-back, 2 centre-backs. And he still managed to go in, out, bang, top corner. And he would score that goal routinely. And I thought, oh, do you know what? I think we got so comfortable with him scoring that goal, we didn't appreciate how good that is. Because now we haven't got anyone on the team that can do that. And we're constantly moaning, we've got no one that can take a player on or a bit of magic in the game. Wilf would do that most weeks and we'd still be like, oh, Wilf, stop moaning. Oh, Wilf, this. We got so comfortable with him being so good for us. I think we didn't appreciate what we had until he left. Not that I'm saying he should come back. He's now in his 30s now and he's obviously like, having fun in Cincinnati or wherever.
Charlotte, is he there?
Charlotte,
yeah, that's
yeah. But he, and I think fans enjoyed hating Wilf, and I get it. I probably would have done as well. And the whole, like, having a fight with the Watford Hornet mascot. So it was all hilarious. But he was, I don't think he ever quite got the love. Obviously, he decided to play for Ivory Coast instead of England. I don't think other fans really appreciate him, but for us, he was very important.
Right, and then we go from underrated to overrated. Anyone you've got for that?
So Wilfried Zaha, nice. Who's the most overrated player of all time? The problem is to get to the elite level of the game, you have to be good.
Well, I know we've had I'm worried in case you say it, but then we've had a few times like someone like Neymar, who's held as like he's in the top 5 ever in some people's minds, but for others, he was nowhere near that. So he can still be a world class player who's overrated.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah, you are right. Us saying it, Saturday, it's a bit rich, but everyone has an opinion on it.
Neymar's an interesting one, yeah. I guess it's hard because I didn't watch a lot of La Liga stuff and don't know much about him. I feel like maybe he's a good shout because like he's almost as famous for going to his sister's birthday party than he is for playing football. Yeah. So maybe someone, I guess, that's like that away from the game. I tell you, no, I was about to say something really controversial. That if you clip it, it will get views and I will get pelters. Can I say it as a Palace fan? I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, that's what I want to do here. Yeah.
So I think. I don't want to say it. I think Eric Cantona's career gets fantasized more than maybe it was good.
Explain.
Obviously, he was brilliant for Leeds and very good for Man United. But he spent a lot of time not playing because of his own issues. Obviously, as a Crystal Palace fan, there's a very emotional reason for that with what he did at Selhurst. And Palace fan then passed away in subsequent clashes, Paul Nixon. So it is emotional. But then he retired at like 30. So he didn't play that many games.
Yeah.
I would say he's probably close to being the Neymar of the 90s in that a lot of moments, Man United fans right now are going to be like hammering their keyboards. But I think there are some players that with nostalgia, and you go back and the more you see clips, I can't believe I said this, maybe their career possibly shines a bit brighter than maybe it did. But I would like to say the context is, I'm saying that as a Palace fan who was listening on the radio that night when he kicked the Palace fan over the hoardings. So
yeah, thanks. I appreciate
you're delighted.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks. I can see it already. I can see the comments already. It's already in there now. Still recording? Yeah, okay, good.
Well, that's the Manchester leg of the tour cancelled.
Yeah, don't open that with that one, maybe, yeah. Best opposition stadium you've ever been to?
Ooh. I love St James's Park.
Not the stairs, though.
Not the stairs. Been lucky enough to do press there a few times and corporate once. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's dad took my photo. That's a claim to fame. I do like St James's Park. It's a proper stadium in the middle of the city, in a proper football city, and fans of sound like. Yeah, probably St James's. I don't go very often, but I've been a few times, and
yep, that's a good one. A player from before your time that you wish you'd been able to watch live.
Can the time overlap in that I was alive, but I didn't see them?
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's two. There's a Palace one and a World one. The Palace one is Ian Wright, because my first game was 3 months after he'd left. I never saw him play for Palace, but very, very important player. Would have loved to see him play. The World one is Roberto Baggio, who I mentioned before.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to see him play. And obviously it never happened. But yeah, the divine ponytail. I when I was 10 or 11, I did try growing a ponytail. It turns out it looks much better on an Italian olive-skinned man than it does a white kid from Kent. So,
well, I'll try it again. How long you got till the tour? Let's see. Your favourite football shirt of all time?
Oh God, my favourite football shirt of all time. Is it sad if it's a Palace one?
No, but I'd expect it really. So.
The Palace 97-98 home shirt, which is the Adidas pinstripe shirt, where it's like stripes of pinstripes on the outside, that was worn by Lombardo, Matt Jansen.
What sponsor is it?
TDK.
Yep.
The ultimate Crystal Palace sponsor.
Yep.
It's just, I think it's the best shirt we've done. Loads of our sashes are lovely, really nice, and they've tried to recreate them, and got one of the like tough ones from the 80s, 70s. But that 1997-98 shirt, yeah, it's beautiful.
So Malcolm Allison did something with the colours, did he? What did he do? Did he make you blue and red?
Yeah, so he made us. Before that, we were claret and blue because we got our first ever kit in 1905 from Aston Villa because our secretary had worked at Villa, so he borrowed a Villa kit. So we were claret and blue stripes up until 1976 when Malcolm Allison came in. For your younger viewers, Malcolm Allison, very flamboyant, big character in football, was Man City manager.
Like a hat and all that.
He wore a fedora, he wore fur coats, like he was, very flamboyant. Kind of like the Jose of his time, if Jose wore fur coats.
Yeah.
But he'd changed Palace's, and you would never get a manager doing this now. Like managers must have had so much more power then, because he wasn't the owner, just the coach. He changed our colours to red and blue to match Barcelona. And he changed the nickname from the Glazers, as in people that worked on the Crystal Palace, to the Eagles because of Benfica. And it worked really well because we got relegated twice. But it stuck. And actually, I'd support them if they were claret and blue in the Glazers, but actually it's a good nickname and it's a good kit. So
it is. I imagine that now, though, you'd be getting laughed out of town, would you? But you'd never work. I actually agree, it's probably better.
Yeah.
Change, but
Glazers.
It's mad, though, like you say, the manager trying to change that now.
Crazy.
And then the last few is your top fives, if that's okay. So your top 5 Crystal Palace players of all time.
Of all time.
If you can do like a 5-1 to add some drama, that's fine. But if you just want to name 5.
Let's do 5-1. Let's start with my number 1 is going to be someone no one's ever mentioned. Okay.
I haven't had a Crystal Palace fan before, so this is all
okay.
Uncharted waters.
But no one. My number 5 is a player that only played for us like 45 times. I was obsessed with him, and I've since interviewed him a few times and got his number, and I texted him so much I think he's blocked me. Anyway, number 5 would be probably Mark Gay. Quite a few are going to be quite recent, probably.
Yep.
We're our best ever time. Best defender easily for Palace in my lifetime. Actually, ever. I'm going to say it. For any Palace fan's lifetime, I don't care how old you are. Number 4, Ebery Eze. Scored the goal that won us the cup. Great guy by all accounts, never met him. A wonderful footballer, just a joy to watch. Number 3, I'm going to have to put him in there because if he watches this, he'll kill me if not. Clinton Morrison. Just a wonderful person, great goal scorer. Very important at a time when I started supporting Palace. Number 2, the bald eagle, Attilio Lombardo, who there's a lot of people, I forget how old I am, who don't. I worked in an office last year with loads of people who are kind of into football, not like 25, and they're like, who's Attilio Lombardo? I'm like, who's Lombardo? The bald eagle. who's Lombardo? They're like, is that a dance? I was like, no, that's the Lombardo. Anyway, I remember signing him, and it was just like, oh, I forgot someone. No, sugar. Can I swap Lombardo?
You do, yeah.
Can I have two? I'm gonna have two in number 2. You can decide for me. It's either Lombardo or, because they're both big moments. Signing Lombardo was huge for us, 97, or Johan Kabay, because that was another one where first time we spent £10 million on a player. Brilliant for us. Gorgeous man. Brilliant footballer. I might have to go Kabay. Anyway, number 1.
Surely that means Gay drops out to 5.
God,
It does, though, doesn't
it does. I can't drop Mark out the 5. Should I drop Clinton? He's probably stopped watching. Should we just drop Clinton? He's like stopped watching at this point.
Okay, fine. So you can have
We'll drop
5, 4, 2, 2, 1.
5, 4, 2, 2, 1. So we'll go Gahey, Ebbs, Lombardo, Kabay. And my favourite ever player is a player called Matt Jansen. He played for Palace for about a year in 98. And he was unbelievably good. Had very 90s curtains. I completely fell in love with him. I wanted to be him. My name on the Palace message boards was the next Matt Jansen, which obviously didn't materialise. Unfortunately, he had a motorcycle accident. He went to Blackburn, was brilliant at Blackburn, got in the England squad, and then had a motorcycle accident in the summer of 2002, went into a coma and never really played football again. He's written a book about it, which would definitely recommend. It's great. And we've interviewed him a few times. He's such a nice guy, but he was just mercurial. The stuff he could do with the football was way beyond anything we had at that time. So, yeah, Matty Jansen top, and then sorry to the other players. Sorry to Ebbs. That's literally won us an FA Cup, but you're 4th behind Matt Jansen.
I think it's always when you're growing up as well. They're always the better ones, aren't they? It doesn't matter what the rest do.
Definitely.
Is it Karali, the goalkeeper?
Karai, yeah.
Is
Tracky Bottoms.
Tracky Bottoms.
Yeah.
I thought he might have got a mention just because I liked it. We did one the other day where you got to pick a all-time Premier League 11, but they can't have played. If you can only have 2 players who play for each club. So like Ashley Cole takes a Chelsea and an Arsenal out. So I end up with him in goal.
Yeah.
Karali. Was it Karali? Is that how you say it?
Kirai. It was spelled Karali.
Sorry,
Kirai.
I had him in goal just because I couldn't think
I thought you were going to go and he had to wear trousers.
No. So, but he was my keeper just because I thought he's quite funny.
Yeah. He was good for us.
Do you have any good pants-related stories about him?
No, apart from we got he's Hungarian. His name means king in Hungarian, and we had a Hungarian fan called Akos who basically fell in love with Palace in the 80s and still lives in Hungary now. And we're in contact, and he interviewed Kirai for the fanzine before we were a podcast. And apparently he's a very nice guy, but apparently he has a line of grey tracksuit bottoms that he sells in Hungary, and they're like really popular. I think he tried to sell some to Akos as well. Buy my trousers. No, I just want to talk to you. So yeah, but huge star in Hungary, and I don't think he ever needed to wear the trousers. I think they just became a thing, and they just became his.
I want a pair.
It's good marketing.
Pants stuff.
I'll try and get you some.
In many ways, yeah. Right, and the next one is top 5 non-Palace players of all time.
God.
So
Okay.
you're not allowed to be putting any of those Palace players up amongst the greats of all time.
Fine. That would be hard. That would be very hard. I mean, I loved Matt Jansen. But, Baggio.
Are you going 5 to 1 or are you just naming 5?
Can I just name 5?
That's fine. Just so I know. Baggio,
because that's going to be too hard.
Yep.
Baggio, Alessandro Del Piero, who was what I moved on to after Baggio left Juve, and Del Piero was superb. Could score a free kick from anywhere. Brilliant player. He used to wear, this is so 90s, he used to wear his socks with you now know everyone wears half socks and then they cut the holes and stuff. He would, so normal, this is when no one wore grip socks, so normal football socks, but he would tie them up with garters. So a little bit of string at the end. Yeah. So of course, for my youth team, I would do the same thing. I wore was it Baggio that wore Diodora? So I'd make my dad order Diodora boots from who knows where, which you couldn't get in the mid-90s. I was obsessed with those guys. So Baggio, Del Piero. I loved Yuri Djorkaeff as well. Inter, so I put him in. I got a haircut once like him. Ted, my hairdresser, a bit of paper like Prince. He'd cut my hair like this guy, like Djorkaeff. And he's like, okay. And he basically just shaved my hair off. It turns out Djorkaeff just had a shaved head. I went to school and everyone's like, why do you look like a convict? I was like, I look like Djorkaeff. So those 3, Zinedine Zidane. Just magical to watch. There was a film made of Zidane when he was playing at Madrid in 2002. Have you seen? Yeah. And it's showing him so much, and it shows his little tick where he sort of drags his back foot and stuff, and it's just magical player. I got one more. Who should I go for my last one? I'm gonna I'm going to put Eric Cantona. No, I think I'm going to go for an English player. I tell you, no, he's not. I was nearly going to put Harry Kane. And actually, Harry Kane, I maybe should have said for underrated. I do think Harry Kane's underrated, but he's so boring. He's so dull, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's his job to score goals.
It's his job to score goals, and he scores goals.
Loads of them.
Who should I put as my...
Yeah, I had any Messi's, Ronaldo's, Maradona's, Pele's, and about that.
Not about that. I'm more about the cult player.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna put Wayne Rooney.
Okay, yep.
That's a bit left field, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's right. He was good at football.
Can I have Rooney in a lineup with Zidane and Djorkaeff? Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, that's fine. Wayne Rooney's yeah, very good. All-time England and United top goal scorer.
There you go.
And you think it's controversial? I think he's underrated as well. Also,
I think there's an argument for that.
I should hate him as well. Right, that's into my questions.
Okay.
I hope that's okay.
I loved it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
Done two, making a hat trick. How do people get to your tour tickets and all that?
So Jim Daly Comedy, and that's Daly spelled the Irish way, DALY, jimdalycomedy.com/tour. All the tour dates, all the times, and all the links to tickets are on there.
Boss, perfect. And thank you very much for watching and or listening at home. See you next time for the Football Historian Podcast.